What is going on, Don't Unfriend Me Nation? Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. Good to have you here. Got a show tonight. I don't know if that's descriptive enough, but it's a show.
What?
It's a show. I don't think it's descriptive enough, but it's a show. If that makes sense. It's just a show,
like
folks.
The birdcage kind of show?
Kind of like, yeah, like the ping pong ball show in Tijuana.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of my...
Honeysuckle Divine. That was, yeah.
Yes. The Gaping Willow. Yes. What a fantastic show. Dixie Dynamite comes to mind. There's
taco
old
shooter.
School.
Yeah.
A taco shooter. Well, Kamala Harris has picked somebody, but first, the shirt of the show isn't a shirt, but it's sweater, hoodie, coffee mug, flag, t-shirt, long sleeve, short sleeve, tank top, baseball cap, mass hysteria, dogs and cats sleeping together, the Trump Vance, the best looking Trump Vance hat on the market. There's nothing better. I've looked at all of them. They all suck compared to this. The black, the red, the white, it just looks sick. It's just so much better than that. I hate to say the word faggy shirt by Harris and Walz. It's just, come on. It really sounds like Harry Balls. And I think I'm going to go ahead and do a Harry Balls 2024 shirt that y'all can purchase. It just makes sense to me. Folks, the Trump Vance hat is 15% off. We'll be back. Leroy, myself, running solo but together.
Let's do this.
A wolf pack of two.
Like the Blues Brothers.
That's right. 720 miles to Chicago. Got a half a pack of cigarettes. Hit it. When we made the Documents of Freedom collection, we had no idea how popular it would be, selling almost 150 units. We had to come up with something else, and we thought the Republic for which it stands would be a great testament to the first. We went back to pfcflag.com and Jason and team because they did such a great job with the box the first time. They surpassed their original creation. We started with the Book of Virtue from Benjamin Franklin, one of his great literary works, and then followed it up with the American flag. It's all about etiquette and pride, how to take care of the flag and the one you own. The Emancipation Proclamation by Abraham Lincoln also. These books are encased in leather bound, they are hardback, and they are beautiful. They're available right now for $74.99, and this is a limited run. They will ship September 1st. We can't wait for you to get yours. Step into a wimp, kid. Oh.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The DUM Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
No Jews. No Jews. No Jews at the top of the ticket, Leroy. Just can't have it. Those Jewy Jews need to stay home. No, those Jews just got to stay home. Can't have them. You know, they're greedy.
They're anti-Semites.
They're dirty. They're Jews, you know. Why would you want a Jew? Why would you want a Jew who can, you know, present themselves? He was clean, you know. I mean, supposedly
I wonder how Hollywood
black
feels
men.
about this.
Oh,
know?
I don't think Hollywood cares. They're Jews. Jews are evil, right? That's what they do. We pretend we like Jews. We make movies like Schindler's List and right. Pretend that we actually like Ben Stiller's humor, but they're Jews, right. Dude. We don't.
How do you think the people of California or New York or Florida, which has the highest population of Jews in the country, how do you think are they represented? I wonder.
I think they probably feel greedy, as they always do. They're Jews. Jews are they're Jewy. You know what I mean?
Jew.
Yeah, your light sucks. By the way, you need to get your light turned on better. Can you get back to the old Leroy, that's well lit and illuminated? Kind of like, I mean, that's what they're saying, right? Is Shapiro, okay, listen. Shapiro was going to deliver Pennsylvania. He essentially put that race on ice, at least would have made it interesting. He has class. He has panache. He's a moderate. But I hate to say I called it, but I called it. I said she's going to choose the most progressive socialist possible. She did. There's nobody worse. I mean, this guy makes Bernie Sanders look like a capitalist.
Yeah. I looked up his record because I always prepare for a show before I come on. This guy wanted to make Minnesota a refuge for taxpayer-funded transgender surgeries for minors. That's how far left this guy
goes. We're going to go right into this. We're not even going to wait.
Why not?
I mean, my Lord,
both
you're like
barrels.
So okay. So let's go through it. I've got some pictures here. But just make sure we're clear. No Jews. Does he have any Jewish relatives or friends, or is he just I don't want any Jews coming up with this guy. They've got to stay out of the spotlight. We can't have any more Jews, Leroy.
What if this guy's lineage is German in nature?
Oh, that's totally cool. That's cool. Well, as long as he has like direct descendants to, you know, real Germans. You know what I mean? Hey, Leroy.
I get
real Germans.
Yeah. I get it.
Real Germans, right? Listen, here is the Democrat Party, right? The umbrella party, the party that's supposed to be inclusive for all civil rights, for all people, except for Jewy Jews. Dude, listen, Democrat Party, if you have something in common with Nick Fuentes and Stu Peters, there's something wrong with you. And there's just lines of separation between right and wrong. And Republicans are not choosing Jews over Palestine because there is no Palestine. It's Jews over terrorists. Gaza, Gazians and West Bankians, which there's no such thing, did not attack Israel. Terrorists attacked Israel. And if you were not screaming for Palestinian that don't exist rights on October 6th, and then you were screaming for them on October 8th, you're supporting Hamas. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're spot on.
Am I being a Jew? Am I being a Jew?
That's the problem with these movements, is that once you pick a side, guarantee it's a side that has committed atrocities in the past. Guaranteed, 100%. So it doesn't matter who you support. You're going to be wrong at some point if you're looking back through history. Right?
Could they have gotten any whiter than this guy? I thought this was the party of like diversity, equity, and inclusion. Look at this guy. Here's this. Oh, well, that's the wrong picture. I'm sorry. Whoops.
Wait, who's that?
I don't know. It looks a little blurry, but I think it's is that Che Guevara? I think it's Che Guevara. No, it's not Che Guevara. Is that no, that's not Lenin. The cameras weren't that good. Maybe it's Mao. He does look at his eyes have emphatic folds.
Stalin.
He might be Stalin. That's who it is. I can tell by the glasses and the baseball cap. Yeah, Stalin. Yeah, Joseph Stalin. This is our new vice president of the United States, maybe. This is after he blew what did he blow? 1.09 or some shit.
Tranny.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Okay, so this guy, let me get this. I don't even know what he blew. Hold on, I got it written down here. Sorry, 1 point. Geez, I'm sorry. 0.128 is what he. That's a wee too many martinis for sure.
Yeah.
So old boy was sloshing Robin Williams style, right? He had a few too many. Well, right. Yeah, but he also, remind me to tell you, he also liked his scotch. Hey, who's here? Maybe. Oh, sorry, Ethan, you scared the living hell out of me. You got to announce your presence, Bubba. Nobody's supposed to be home. See where my hand's at? Do you see where my hand's at? Did you tell me you were here? Next time, what are you going to do?
Because he's staring at Leroy.
Next time, you know what you're going to do, right? Okay, that's dangerous, bud. Okay, I see a shadow walk by and I see a body and you're not supposed to be home and mom's not here. What am I? And I've got noise canceling headphones. What do you think I'm going to think, right? Okay, next time you know what to do, what are you going to do? Announce your presence. Attaboy. All right. Have fun at Jack's. Next time you come home, announce your presence. My Lord. Fucking heart attack. And it's not help. It doesn't help that I've been playing Elden Ring. So like everything that comes around the corner is designed to kill you in that game. So I'm just, all right. No, I was not going to shoot my son. The point is I'm trying to explain to him. Right. I know. Just so he understands. But trust me, it was freaky. I have this little slit on the door this big where it's open for air. And I saw human skin. And, you know, it's when you don't expect anybody to be home. All right. So make sure I understand. He had a 0.128 blood alcohol level, which, if I'm not mistaken, right, that's
over the limit.
Right. Like that's like drunk.
That's hammered.
Yeah. Like Legally Dead is like what, 0.225 or some shit? I mean, can you look up what's Legally Dead by chance? And everybody make sure that we're on channels. Make sure we're on Rumble and everything.
Nancy Pelosi. That's all I'm
I'll tell you the Robin Williams story about Scotch, by the way. But yeah, if you guys wouldn't mind doing me a favor, just make sure we're good on Rumble, Facebook, everything looks good. He was doing a 96 in a 55. Now, the interesting thing is, I think
0.3.
Yeah. Okay. So he's 1/3 the way there to death. A little more than that. 0.4%, 40% to death. Okay. And it's my understanding that when the police officer pulled him over, he was playing Sammy Hagar's I Can't Drive 55. It's my understanding. I don't know if that's true. I can't drive 50. Goodbye, Ethan.
Hey, dude, if he did that, I might actually vote for him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like but he probably wasn't listening to that. He probably was listening to Tchaikovsky or something, right? or a Chinese Federalist celloist who's been under frickin' house arrest in China for the last 25 years. Is essentially their fingers are bleeding from
the audiobook version of the Communist Manifesto as read by Orson Welles.
Right. Saul Alinsky read by a 7-year-old boy, from my understanding with this guy. Listen, the narrative is already out. He's a nice guy. He's just a nice guy. Right. Hey, he's not a Jew. Oh, fuck. Let's vote for him. Because, listen, do you guys think that I'm being anti-Semitic when I say this? Because I'm not. I am telling you what the message is. Shapiro met with Harris, and Harris was like, he's too Jewish. It's my understanding from my sources And nobody in the Democrat Party, but Republicans who know people within the Harris campaign are saying that Harris and Shapiro did not get along and did not like each other and could not solidify on their policy because they were so far apart from where a normal person would be. That is my understanding. So what does that tell you? Well, it tells you, sorry, I'm fixing you. I'm centering you. It tells you a couple of things. It tells you that he's a moderate. So he's a classic liberal, right? He's a moderate. I've looked at Shapiro's record. There's nothing. I mean, the guy absolutely does not support the unions for teachers. He believes in a somewhat, moderate stance on abortion. If you can call that having a moderate stance, in my opinion, either you're for abortion, against. One's extreme, one's not. But
I thought he was for it, like right up to the point of birth.
Not what, Shapiro?
No. No,
no.
I'm talking about Walz. I'm sorry.
No, I'm talking about Shapiro. I'm talking how Kamala met with Shapiro, and it was just like, it was essentially like, it was not ebony and ivory, is my understanding. There was no keyboard playing, it was more like oil and water. That's right. And here's why Harris doesn't like Shapiro, because Shapiro would run away with it. And you don't put a Ferrari next to a Yugo. You get a Yugo, which is, you guys remember the Yugo nowhere, the Yugoslavian car? This is fitting. Yugoslavia used to be a communist state. So you go get walls. Speaking of walls, like the Berlin Wall or the walls that they don't want to build on the border. This guy, the campaign slogans are going to run amok.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And make sure you give 70% of your salary to their campaign, because that's what you're going to do when he gets in office.
Well, it's interesting you say that. He raised gas, sales, payroll, car license taxes,
yes,
and online delivery taxes and fees while he was the governor of Minnesota. All of that went up. So let's just assume that he wants to carry through with some of those policies, but now apply that on a national level.
Right. Dude, listen to me. You can make mistakes. I've driven drunk. Leroy's driven drunk. He won't admit it right now because of his clearance, but he has. We all have. Every single... Please. There's a difference. There is a difference. This guy, you don't blow that unless you've driven drunk a lot. And you're covered. Because when I say I've driven drunk, it's 2 drinks or 3 drinks. Maximum 4 beers. And that's what I'll do. This guy put away 8 to 10 drinks and was driving a vehicle. That, with his height and weight, folks, he's not a skinny little thing. He wasn't a skinny little thing then. And, I have to ask the question, is the guy's liver pickled? But I understand this was 20 years ago, but does it matter? I mean, you guys want to throw Trump in jail and throw him under the jail for something that happened 15 years ago. What's the statute of limitations of using road cones and playing slaloms with your vehicle? What's the statute of limitations? Is there one? So we're going to dive into this Walz guy tonight.
All right.
This morning, a bright and early morning, we're going to watch this. This was at 6:30. And some people have had a chance to see it. Others haven't. But I figure it's going to give you a perspective based on Kamala Harris and the decision that she made. 1 second, folks. I don't know what is up with my computer. It's not my computer. It's just there's just things that are not working, and I don't understand why. There's got to be a conflict with my streaming software or something. All right, let's open this up. There it is. Okay, much better. All right, we're gonna watch this, and Leroy, your opinion is absolutely necessary. By the way, folks, linktapgo.com/the dumb show. We are on the 6th. We've got to average about 1150 no, a little less than that. About 800 750 a week to hit our goal. So we need some help.
Yeah.
We're not doing too bad. We're tonight and tomorrow and we're at that week mark. So if you can help, linktapgo.com/the dumb show. We don't ask for donations. We started out that way. We don't intend to do it forever, but right now it's what we've got because Facebook is demonetized. You notice there's no ads for you. There's nothing. Well, because Facebook has decided to demonetize. Now, the cool thing is Elon Musk is going after Google and Facebook for their unfair advertising practices, and I'm hoping that this helps in this endeavor. Go ahead, Leroy.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's the tip jar, folks. If you like what you're seeing, if all of your bills are paid off, if you've already taken your family vacation, if you're covered on all of those fronts and you've got some spare pocket change, throw a little tip in the tip jar, That's
it. And the Dumb Show app is coming. I gotta talk to Jason and find out what. This was recorded, I want to say, around 6:30 in the morning. So bear with me that, I'm not all prim and proper. I didn't have any makeup on. I didn't get my hair did, but here it is. And it's about 15 minutes, but I want us to use this as talking points for what we're going to cover. But what I don't want to do is have to explain the entire, why she did this, right? Why Kamala Harris picked this guy. Let's listen. No, we're not going to listen until I turn on the speakers. Here we go.
Matthew Spear from the Don't Unfriend Me show. Hope everyone's doing well. This morning, early morning, we're hearing that
this is before the pick came out, and this was based on my prognostication that she was going to pick the most progressive socialist candidate that she could possibly pick. And here we are.
Kamala Harris is about to announce her vice presidential pick and running mate for 2024. It's interesting that nobody picked Kamala and she was vice president, and she won't be picking her vice president because someone else will do that for her as well. I don't know if this resembles democracy to anyone, maybe totalitarianism or an oligarchy. I'm waiting for Kamala to come out and express her lineage and ties to Charlemagne or Shaka Zulu, or depending upon where she's from, maybe Bob Marley. But this is all a show. Because if you had a choice, and I gave you multiple choice, that you could vote for Jimmy Carter, Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, or Bill Clinton, who would you choose? And the answer is anyone but Kamala Harris. And the reason why is that if you look at Jimmy Carter, he was fairly moderate, but was having a very influential House and Senate pushing him left. And his decisions were poor. You take a look at Bill Clinton, and was a fairly good president, minus his decisions with national defense and closing military bases to save against the budget, which is why he didn't have a deficit. It's what happens when you cut $300-400 million from the defense budget. You're going to have
That's B as in billion. I apologize. 376 billion, not million. I slipped. Apologize.
Surplus. You look at Obama, who actually did fairly well for infrastructure and overall keeping everything status quo, but was horrendous for national morale and respect from a geopolitical standpoint. All had their faults. Oh, and the division at home was a little much, especially with the police force, and the focus on white versus black was not Obama's strength. But if you look at all three of them, they are 10 times better than Kamala Harris. And here's why. If you take the worst parts of all of those presidents that I just mentioned, they equate to Kamala Harris. Completely failed at a global geopolitical standpoint. Remember when she went over to Poland, what that looked like? The communication that she had with world leaders in NATO? It inspired Vladimir Putin to invade 5 days after her exfil from Poland. Something to think about. If you want to take a look at the weak leadership of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, simply look at Israel and the hostages and what we give for hostages. And although I am thankful that American hostages are home, and that's important, and I'm not going to thank Vladimir Putin for it and his success that he had in that trade negotiation, like some former presidents did, don't agree with it. I have to say that although I'm glad, I think us giving up global terrorists, assassins, and arms dealers for every Tom, Dick, and Harry is not necessarily the way we should do it. If you can't get it through conventional means and means that are prosperous for both parties involved, and we're not putting fellow Americans in danger in the future, then you put an economic pressure the likes they've never seen until they release, and you ensure that it's everyone in the UN and NATO. And if that doesn't work, then you go and get our people back. This is the Carter enigma, where Carter would throw economic pressure and then not back it up with any bite, and then would waste special forces and waste military people in a last-ditch effort of futility to get American hostages back. And Ronald Reagan said it best: on the day that I'm sworn in is the day that we invade Iran. They let him out, 24, 36 hours before Reagan was sworn in, for a reason. A lot of people think it's because of the Iran-Contra and backdoor dealings. Well, once again, if that's what it takes. But it also had to do with Reagan's disposition from a global standpoint of, we're not going to be effed with, and if you decide to F around, you're going to find out. Let's go ahead and look at Kamala's policies on defunding the police and tie her to Barack Obama. Gun confiscation, which Obama stood up on that dais and talked about taking guns every speech. You take a look at her platform on abortion and late-term abortion. You take a look at her stance on the LGBTQ community, and although I do believe have every right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, not at the sacrifice of our children and not the sacrifice of having to embrace things that we don't agree with. The scariest thing about Kamala Harris is this whole nuance that she's changed. And she's no longer the same person. Now, here's two things I know. As a 50-year-old white male, former military, somewhat Christian conservative, I guess, I am considered to be one of the biggest threats to this country. And not from a treason or seditious attitude, but from the mental corruptibility that has taken place with equity and inclusion and diversity and all this crap, because I am a student of it. I grew up in 3 Fortune 500 companies, 3 Fortune 15 companies, and I've been through every training possible: toxic masculinity, unconscious bias, and it doesn't matter, all of it, I'm a threat to. Because although we check the box and go through that training, the entire time, most white male ex-military Christian conservatives are sitting here and trying not to laugh within their hand at the utter bullshit that is DEI and all that goes with it. Kamala Harris is, with no doubt, with no equivocation, a progressive, the likes we've never seen before. More progressive than Hillary Clinton, which isn't saying much because Hillary was predominantly a moderate, except for global policy. But you can take a look at Bernie Sanders and Amy Klobuchar. People aren't going to like this. Tulsi Gabbard, who is the second most progressive and tied for first in some cases with Kamala Harris. Elizabeth Warren, these are the far left of the party. And there was a power struggle that took place when AOC came in and Rashid Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and all the rest, Ayanna Presley and whatever. When they came in, they represented a leftist socialist agenda. And things like the Green New Deal of throwing caution to the wind and spending frivolous amounts of money in an effort to unclog a toilet that isn't necessarily clogged because of the mechanisms or the piping or the buoyancy, but clogged because of the never-ending stream of shit coming from politicians in Washington, D.C., which is relatively easy to unclog. And we want to go ahead and recreate the toilet, so to speak. Kamala Harris is about to show you her true colors, and she has a choice. It's a very clear choice. It looks like it's going to come down to two candidates. One I was pretty sure of, which is Shapiro from Pennsylvania. He's a fantastic orator. He's pretty moderate, surprisingly enough. I don't disagree with him on much when it comes to how to handle yourself as a human being. I disagree with his policy, but he does have some strong ties to Israel. He has some strong ties to education, has some fairly moderate ideas when it comes to abortion. And although I don't agree with his policy, I do feel a little fear in regards to having one ringmaster in the circus minus having three clowns on stage, which is what we have now. And although a fervent Donald Trump supporter and will be voting for Donald Trump, at times can be a little clownish. And you wonder why he doesn't pick up the whip and the top hat and be the ringmaster. But nonetheless, Kamala's not doing that, and I can't imagine that J.D. Vance will be that person. But Shapiro could be, and he has a way about him, and he comes off as affable. This is the right choice for Kamala Harris. It delivers Pennsylvania, which is a huge win for her. But most importantly, it re-solidifies that she's not in this to be a progressive, that she truly has changed, that her policies are no longer focused on 70% taxes and a Green New Deal and limiting carbon emissions and putting a bunch of conjecture and supposition in front of facts and an overall relevancy to what makes a country successful. Or she can choose Walz, who is as progressive as Bernie Sanders, Amy Klobuchar, Elizabeth Warren, Tulsi Gabbard.
This is before the decision came out. This is before people even started talking about Walz. Listen to what, go watch Fox Now and listen to this and look at the timestamp on this video and go make your own conclusions. If people on the left are saying, oh no, this isn't true. No, he's not a socialist. He's just a nice Midwesterner. He's just a Midwesterner. That's the new word. It's like weird. Last week, Midwesterner is going to be the new. Everyone, you're going to hear 1,000 clips tomorrow when I do the show. Midwesterner. He's just a family man. He just loves kids. He just loves them up and he eats them up. Nom, 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 nom. He loves them kids. I had no doubt in my mind. But I said it this morning at 6:45, 06:45, and if I'm saying it before Fox said it and everyone else said it, then maybe we can go ahead and wrap our little minds around it that it's accurate.
Tulsi Gabbard's changed, Matt. Here's the problem. If you have a problem with Kamala Harris saying that all of a sudden she just dropped trow and reassessed her entire life when her neurons have been set for 30 plus years, that her free thinking ways are pretty much gone because of the detriment of her own brain, and she just dropped all of her ideology and scruples and abandoned them for something new, shouldn't that give you pause and question about your relationship with Tulsi Gabbard? Because she did the same thing. No, Matt, it's not the same thing. She likes Trump. Oh, well, that's not a prerequisite for Veritas. Simply somebody doing something that you agree with does not define what truth is. Kamala Harris is a threat. She is something that in 1950 people would have laughed at and scoffed at and put her in the future category of a Che Guevara or some militant from the University of Miami, not somebody who could be taken seriously as Attorney General or a senator and vice president and, God forbid, President of the United States. Today will be telling. If Kamala Harris chooses Shapiro, then everyone needs to take a pause and take a breath and realize that Donald Trump needs to focus on policy and go after that, or he's going to lose. Because a Shapiro-Harris ticket gives her credibility and gives them a second choice of someone that they can attach to. And that vice president will make a change in this election. Because once again, if he's the only ringmaster on a stage of clowns, it's going to draw a pull from the American people who want stability, who want someone serious in office, who want somebody who's going to do what Donald Trump did, but also calm and tone down the rhetoric. Shapiro's that guy. I don't know if he'll do what Trump did, but he certainly will be able to sell it to the American people. We all know different. The pick today will let you know what you have as a choice. A socialist progressive who is going to spend us into oblivion, who is going to crush America under the weight of regulation and high inflation, that is going to lower our presence in the world, that is going to have a reaction that all Democrats have, which is to throw military force at every problem that they face versus a strong, determined economic policy and pressure from the community around the world versus the United States playing lifeguard and police. Or you're going to have something truly terrifying, as Kamala Harris maybe has changed, at least to a point where her handlers have convinced her as such. And then you have a race between Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and Kamala Harris and somebody like Shapiro. Not a very interesting proposition either way. America should want to see what's best for America. And what's best for America is to not take a risk on Shapiro or Walz or Harris, but vote for Donald Trump, because we have a record. We have archives. We have the annals of history to tell us that the 4 years under Donald Trump are exponentially better than any 4 years of Joe Biden's presidency or his time as.
Leanne, you just got in my crosshairs. So I want you to take the next, exactly 60 seconds to get ready to prove your point that Nikki Haley is a warmonger with examples as a governor or a UN ambassador or a CEO of how she encouraged, manipulated, or voted for war. I'll be right back. You go ahead and do that, and I'll see you in 60 seconds.
Or any future gleaming that we can look into the crystal ball and say, what is Kamala Harris going to do in those 4 years? It should be mired with absolute derision, cynicism, and a little bit of healthy fear. If we do that, we'll make the right decision. You should take a watch today, see what you think, watch the news, find out her pick, listen to Shapiro if you haven't, stop listening to what other people say, and actually you watch a video of him and tell me that he's not a little scary, that he's not somebody that you might say, wow, he could sell himself, whether he's full of crap or not, to the American people, and that just makes Kamala Harris more viable. That's it, folks. Hope you're having a good day. 15 minutes. You should be satisfied that that is your podcast for today. We'll talk.
All right, so let's dive into this. First of all, Leanne, Nikki Haley has never been in a position, because governors don't declare war, they don't fund war, they don't appropriate war, and they can't send the National Guard overseas for war. So unless there was a war on state soil that I'm not familiar with, maybe you can educate me. I didn't think that any states went to war against other states, but possible. Let me know, please. I would appreciate it. Thanks. And then the second thing is, as a UN ambassador, it's actually illegal for her to influence in any way, shape, or form, and is considered treasonous to encourage or to manipulate or propagate war as a UN ambassador. So I don't know what you're talking about. I think what you did is you heard somebody who you watch and you've went ahead and recited that, or you heard her say that she wants to take out the cartels and send special forces in there, or that she also said that we've already spent $150 billion in Ukraine and walking away now would be absolutely ludicrous and stupid because we've already have too much skin in the game. If that's what you consider a warmonger, What a warmonger is somebody who you see right now who is refraining and abstaining from protecting an ally and holding their political opponent hostage because they don't want to support Jews. In fact, the most qualified vice presidential candidate that Kamala Harris could have picked was Shapiro, but because he's a Jew is why she said no, because the only proof you need is that she didn't go ahead and pick Arizona, which is the border crisis, because that would admit that she needs help on the border. She picked somebody from Minnefucking-Soda, which has the highest Muslim and Somalian population in the world, who hates Jews. So, yeah, I don't know where you're getting Nikki Haley's a warmonger, but we can talk about it. I admire you, love you, and think you're amazing. By the way, D-Sword, dude, there's no reason to go ahead and degrade somebody because they, just state your facts. But Jesse Ventura, really, dude? Yeah, there's a reason why that guy's been excommunicated from the SEAL community. And I'm not saying Chris Kyle was right with what he did or what he said, but you don't go ahead and sue a publisher of a wife or anyone else. And I'm just not a big fan. I'm also a Travis Manion Foundation fan, and I donate to it every year. So I'm just probably a little bit sensitive to that. Leroy, your thoughts?
I like Jesse Ventura right before he kind of had his Gary Busey moment where there was like something that happened where all of a sudden he went like off the deep end. I loved your video. A moment to gather my thoughts here. I loved the tone of it. The tone, which was calm, cool. It wasn't emotionally charged with a lot of name calling or anything like that. It provided context that led into what the potential policy will look like, and because of what that policy might look like, what the results of that policy might look like for all of us. So I liked the video. I liked the comparisons, and the fact that this was all done prior to the actual announcement of Walz. That's impressive. Yeah, I really liked it.
So D-Sword, listen, dude, I just want to make sure that you I'm not being rude. Did you just say she started it? He started it, man. She made fun of me first. Nana nana boo boo, stick your head in doo doo, dude. I don't know what she said. I'm gonna scroll back and look, but I can't imagine Leanne cut you that deep.
Right.
Let me
He
find
was just
out.
trying to make a sexist comment.
Oh, I don't know, and that's fine. Sexism is fine. It has its place in the world today. I mean, Leanne can handle it. I can't even find where the hell she responded. What did she say? I know she said something. Let's see. His wife said she kept windows open. Okay, saw that. Yup, Harris was bailing them out. Okay, saw that. BSD sword. Kennedy is very liberal and Ventura is a moonbat. How did she insult you? If that's all it takes, bro, you're gonna hate this show. You're gonna hate me.
If that comment, if that string of comments,
yeah, you're
like
gonna hate me.
all she did was point out somebody's policy, and then your rebuttal to that is get back in the kitchen. Not good, dude.
Yeah, dude. And here's the thing is instead of going ahead and combating her, Jesse Ventura is a fucking moonbat and you can't defend it. And Kennedy is a liberal. He believes in gun confiscation. He believes in abortion. He believes in transitioning. These are things that we've seen. What's confusing about Kennedy's policies? You guys kind of, latched on to him because of the anti-vaccine trope. But listen, we just spent 25 minutes just going after Walz and Kamala, but we're not afraid to go ahead and call stripes. Jesse Ventura, I've never met Jesse Ventura. I know a lot of people in the SEAL community. Jesse Ventura, I admire the man. I think he's a good dude. I don't think he's a danger to anyone. I think he said some things. Talia Kyle is a person who I do know and who I have met and I've raised money for. I have a relationship with. And it may not be one where she can drop my name and say, I know Matt Spear, but I guarantee when she runs her taxes and looks at the overall donations we provide each year that she does remember me. Or when we made her a flag for her husband, or we've made the Travis Manion Foundation flags a flag of valor for their entire corporation. I don't believe that you sue a SEAL's former wife, whether you go after her publisher or not. It's chicken shit. And if Chris Kyle said that he, punched out Jesse Ventura, and Jesse Ventura says, no, it never happened. Jesse Ventura is a UDT SEAL. The man has achieved things in life. He's very well off. He's been a governor of Minnesota. He's very well respected by a very large portion of the United States. Why is he showing small peen syndrome? I don't know. I don't think he should. So my whole thing is, Jesse Ventura had his chance, and him as a vice president will do no good. It will not help in Minnesota. It will help in no state in the union. And honestly, it all it does is extenuate Trump's faults. As far as Kennedy, Kennedy is a liberal. And no, I don't want Kennedy on the ticket. The reason why people get upset at Nikki Haley is because they were told to get upset at Nikki Haley. But trust me when I say this, and you don't have to admit it, but if you have a choice right now with this race the way it is, J.D. Vance is looking better now because of Walz. But as of this morning, if you had a choice to put Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley on the vice presidential ticket for Donald Trump, would you feel better about that? The answer is yes, you would. And if you say you don't, you're lying. Because she got 23% of the vote. Now, you guys can sit here and say, no, she didn't. Well, Texas isn't an open primary. And she popped 23% in Texas. So guess what that means? Nationally, she gives him 3.5 million votes. That is a massive draw when the last three elections have all been decided by 120,000 to 90,000 votes or less, don't you think? So, come on, man. So as far as... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's an interesting point that you brought up, too. The fact that we now have probably the two most leftist candidates in U.S. history that I can think of, versus two that are, I don't know that I would consider them the most right, but they're in there, right? They're certainly amongst that crowd. So this is going to be a real kind of watershed moment for United States and how we vote. And for the lefties out there, I gotta say, I mean, I would think this is like a wet dream that they've had, to get these two on a ticket together. So we have to be really responsible as voters right now.
Melanie, you didn't get it the other night. You made a joke that I said was in poor taste. I don't know what you mean you got it. I think I used KY in a glove. As far as D-Sword, make sure to call me a bootlicker too. You can also call me Gobless. You can do all those things, but honestly, it just shows you're intellectually a stump. You don't need to start slinging insults. I haven't insulted you. I've given you point by point why Jesse Ventura isn't popular. You just said that J.D. Vance is a boring white guy. What color is Jesse Ventura and Kennedy, by the way?
White A.
I think they're white too, bro. Unless they're Kamala-ing this. They're Kamala-ing this. They must have a cousin from Jamaica or something. But anyway, dude, I listen. The fact that you're bringing up Jesse Ventura, who has never even been remotely in the conversation for anything presidential since 2006, demonstrates to me that you're just a Jesse Ventura fan, and that's cool. Predator's a great movie, dude. Love Predator.
Running Man.
It's fantastic.
Hell yeah.
Running Man was awesome too. I think he was a little underutilized. But vice president? No, not at all. Not in any way, shape, or form. So there you go. J.D. Vance is looking better compared to Walz. And it's just because Walz is not going to be able to run from his record. But let's face it, Leroy, they're not running from their record. In fact, they're embracing almost to the point where they're like, we're socialists, we're progressives, we know it. The fact is you don't know it because the media isn't going to tell you the truth. And once we get elected, you're going to find out how bad it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, so again, let's run through Walz's record. He's pro-abortion right up to the moment of birth. During the COVID lockdowns, he encouraged policies so that Minnesotans would snitch on their neighbors when they broke government mandates, right? After Floyd was murdered, Walz said that he just sat by and watched the largest city burn, while listening to Kamala Harris saying, hey, well, if you go ahead and do that, we'll go ahead and raise money to bail you out. he embraced driver's licenses for illegal aliens,
He did.
marijuana legalization, voting rights for convicted felons, stricter gun laws. This is just bad. He blew through $17.5 million in surplus in 1 year.
You're missing something.
What's that?
You're missing something.
Oh, I'm missing.
Keep going.
I'm missing a lot. But I'm just kind of.
You do that, and I'll do this. We should shut down early tonight. By the way,
he increased spending after COVID by almost 40%, just through mandates and entitlements. This guy is a fucking nutcase.
The problem that I have is anyone saying, I'm sorry, D-Sword, anyone that says my name is Sword because I cut deep, do you sound like your own your own master of ceremonies? Like you play your own theme music and pimp yourself out when you walk into a room. You don't cut deep. It was just a dick thing to say. It's not something that cuts deep. It's a douche move. It's probably why you're single. You can pretend you're not single, but that's why you don't have a profile picture and everything else. But you should call into the show. 804-212-2208, and we can have an intellectual conversation. Dude, to say that Jesse Ventura has Waltz's number, I hope you're talking from a metaphysical sense, because Jesse Ventura doesn't even know what fucking planet he's on. So I'm sorry, dude, but you're trolling. There's no doubt in my mind you're just fucking with us, and that's fine. I respect that, but try to have an opinion that actually makes a little sense. Yeah, go ahead. Do
you remember in the mid-2000s when Jesse Ventura tried to relabel himself and he went from Jesse the Body to Jesse the Mind? Do you remember that?
Yeah, dude.
And it was the lamest attempt to reinvent himself.
Did you read his book?
Nobody bought it.
Did you ever read his book? It's listen, I'm not going to sit here and bag on Jesse Ventura. I've got nothing to say. The guy's he's not there. He's a couple cans short of a six pack. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
Let's see. He could have also deployed the National Guard as well, from what I've heard. Correct. Well, he also said he was a command master sergeant. And if you look at his DD2, he was promoted to command master sergeant. He didn't earn rank and title or pay. And they stripped him and broke him back down because he didn't qualify and actually do the necessary requirements for command master sergeant. In the military, you either earn your overall rate or your rank, and your overall, sorry, I got a tweet. And you earn that, and then you go to boards, and then you obviously go through the selection process, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then you're announced, and then at that point you go ahead, and there will be a time and date that actually is official, and you'll be able to go ahead and change uniform or put any insignias, and pay will go ahead, and at that point possibly be retroactive to the point of actual when you're allowed to go ahead and have that rank, whether it be an E7, E6, E4, whatever matter. Same thing with commissions. And then there's other titles where you're actually put into a position as more of like a TDY or a temporary situation in lieu of you completing the necessary requirements to be in that level of whether enlisted or officer ranks. And he was in the latter, and he failed. I don't know whether he was drinking that night or whatever, but ultimately lost being a command master sergeant. Now understand, a command master sergeant is very similar to a general in the enlisted ranks. It is a very prestigious and high level of somebody who understands how the military works. He was with the National Guard for 25 years, and my understanding is when they were going to deploy to Iraq, he just quit and said, I'm done, I retire. He never had a deployment overseas. He was stateside the entire time. I believe he wasn't a master at arms, but I don't remember he might have been an MO, but it doesn't matter. He never served overseas. So for people to sit here and, they're showing this old picture of him from like 1976 and making it look like he was in Vietnam. No. Fucking National Guard. Not that there's anything wrong with the Army National Guard, okay? I'm just saying, this guy wasn't Wes Montgomery.
It's one of those situations where when you when you're asked to sit down and write your resume, there's always some things on there that maybe you kind of take a few liberties with, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I wasn't just the bookkeeper. Maybe I was the CFO. So there's always these embellishments that one can kind of throw onto the record, and that's what we're saying is that.
Did I say Command Master Sergeant? Command Sergeant Major. Sorry.
Yeah.
I got Master at Arms, and I'm fucking tired. It's been a long. Plus, donations are completely off. Olivia's going to give me a ration of shit tonight, so it's going to be brutal.
Folks, that tip jar is there. Please. Please.
Yeah. Well, we got to get it. So, you can remember Ventura like a lot of people, but a lot of people didn't know Vance. But before Trump, I don't have to be an intellectual to know that. How am I doing? Not very well. You're advocating for Jesse Ventura, which, dude, why don't we just go ahead and see if Dan Quayle's available? Can we round Dan Quayle up? Sarah Palin would be good. Hell, maybe we can just dig up Ronald Reagan with some smelling salts and a space heater, and put him in a blue suit and see how that works. No, you're not doing well, dude. You're Nancy and I are still looking for the other half of my head. You're espousing that Jesse Ventura is a viable candidate for vice president when Jesse Ventura isn't a viable candidate for fry cook at McDonald's. Sorry. No, you're not doing well at all. So, and if you have to ask, you know the answer. What is going on with this bail shit for Melanie? What is going on? Anybody want to tell me what the hell's going on there? Okay.
No idea.
All right, moving on. Here's some video of if D-Sword continues to distract from the show, we're going to have to make him a victim because I don't have time today. Say what you want. When Ventura ran Minnesota, we had and made money here. Great. But do you actually believe that has to do with the governor? Please tell me what policies Ventura put in place that made you money. Name one. Name one.
The greatest thing that any Republican can do for the economy is to step away from regulations. Just fucking leave it be. The people will do it themselves.
That's right. So if you want to say that he embraced the free market economy, give me an example of how he did that. Please give me the regulations that he went ahead and expunged from the state's constitution or the state's legislation and said, no, we're not going to go ahead and do that. I'm not saying that Jesse Ventura is a bad person. Okay, I don't know what your hard on is for Jesse Ventura and me and thinking that I have an issue. The point is that you could have said Captain Kangaroo and I would have had the same fucking reaction. Jesse Ventura is a has-been. He's considered a crackpot by a lot of people. Anybody that goes on Alex Jones and Alex Jones likes is probably not the person to run for vice president. But whatever, dude. Maybe Hulk Hogan's available. Yeah. Melanie says, oh my God, I just saw Jesse Ventura's latest pic. He looks like the professor from Back to the Future. You can actually take his ear hair and braid it with the back of his mullet. It's pretty bad.
Gross.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and do this. We got other fish to
now
fry.
I'm hearing Doc. Now I'm watching Doc Brown's face, but with Jesse's voice.
1.21 gigawatts.
1.21 gigawatts, Marty.
I'm a SEAL, and that woman defamed me. Just gonna go ahead and go after a widow's wife, Gold Star wife.
Never been
Back to the future, brother.
That's Randy Macho Man, dude. Yeah, man. Step it to a Slim Jim. All right, whatever. I think we've had enough clowns on the stage for a while. Jesse Ventura, we don't need it. Here's some video that we can find from Walz since we we'll go ahead and listen to this weirdo.
Governor.
I love how they call us weird. Here it is.
Governor, do you cut the muffin in half or do you take the dang muffin?
Muffin top.
Just the top? I didn't anticipate that answer.
I
tried to anticipate all the answers.
And you win both ways.
You son of a bitch. That's all I need to know about him. Fuck this guy. He's talking about muffin. When you cut a muffin, how do you cut a muffin? Do you cut it in half or do you cut it muffin top? This guy takes the muffin top and leaves the bottom half. Fuck him. Muffin top's the best part of the complete monster. Complete monster. The correct answer is you take the whole muffin and give the people the crumbs, you socialist cock.
Let them eat cake.
Let them eat cake. Here's
exactly where he left off 4 years.
Here's Trump inadvertently endorsing Donald Trump.
If Trump gets a chance to return, he's going to pick up exactly where he left off 4 years ago.
Yes.
Please? Yes.
Can't threaten me with a good time.
Thanks so much. We should put that on every campaign commercial, then show Donald Trump's stats. Do you think they will keep Walz all the way or try and change him out over all the heat? No, he's there. You can't. The Democrats, they already got their get out of jail free card. You can't do it again.
If they did that with this kind of game of chicken, it would just show absolute fear in Democrat eyes. Because at that point, I mean, it's already obvious that what they're doing is just trying to pick the candidates that they think will win. But by changing them out now, which, I mean, think about how that looked with Harris. Oh, Biden can't do it, so we're going to put Harris in. Why? Not because of Biden's policies, not because he's too old, because he was tanking in the polls and he was not going to win.
Old white guys. D Sword says, I see somebody a wrestling. This is English. That's not very intellectual. I also know how to play checkers. That's not very intellectual either. You can participate in something, you can observe things and learn things. Am I a wrestling fan? I don't know what the fuck wrestling is. Maybe that's a Midwesterner thing. Listen, can I just say one thing about Minnesota?
Notice
hold on. Wait. You've done this multiple times tonight. Hold on. I'm not done.
Sorry.
Give me a second. I'm talking shit to the douchebag sword. Give me a minute. Then you can get him after me. Minnesota Wild suck cock. Okay? That's it. You guys haven't touched a fucking cup. North Stars had to go to fucking Dallas to win. You guys are not the state of hockey. You're a fucking scrub league. Okay? You suck dick. The only thing you guys are known for, okay, is being slightly better than Canada and your mall. That's it. Otherwise, it's a shithole. Nobody fucking wants to live in Minnesota. Come on, man. Don't make me ban you. Go ahead, Leroy. Your turn.
The thing that got D-Sword noticed, right, was his comment to whoever the hell it was about telling that woman to get back in the kitchen. So when you're telling us that, oh, these aren't intellectual conversations, yeah, well, I mean, take a look in the mirror, I guess.
It's not that.
You're the one that started this shit.
Jesse fucking Ventura, how fucking stupid and desperate do you have to be? Welcome to 1980, bro. Jesse Ventura, what the fuck did Jesse Ventura do? Nothing.
I ain't got time to bleed. That's it. That's the only thing he's known for.
This person says he looks like a heavier set Cheney. I would agree with that. So there's one. Here's some other clips that you guys are gonna love. How about this? Here's Walz signing a bill, an abortion bill, up to birth.
Wow, great.
Yeah, that's not weird. It's not weird. Nothing weird about that. Here we go. Here's another one you guys will like. I can do these all day.
And what we want to say is we're there to protect children. We're there to have you understand that in Minnesota you're going to be protected. And I just want to be clear. I will never understand what goes into the thinking of these folks to bully these children. That is not impacting them in one bit and making it a living hell for children, for families, for adults, for folks who are just trying to bring themselves in. So in Minnesota, we're making it very clear we're not going to cooperate with these folks. We're not going to extradite people. We're going to say that this is a place where you can come to make these decisions. The community, the trans community is as terrified as they've ever been. We've seen attacks across the nation, even here in Minnesota, and we're now saying we have to be much more proactive. We have to be much more aggressive about making sure that folks are protected. So This is another of the fronts that, again, don't deal with climate change. Don't deal with other things. Deal with making people's lives miserable on something that won't impact you. That's what these governors are doing, these attorney generals are doing. And I've had it. As a teacher, I will not stand bullies. I never did. And I'm not going to stand bullies who are masquerading as somehow about freedom. This has nothing to do with personal freedoms. It has everything to do with forcing an ideology on a vulnerable group of people for short-term political gain. It won't stand. And in the long runs, Americans are far better than that. And they're going to find that out.
Jeez.
I can't believe that he just said that after that it's all about protecting the people after he let Minneapolis just burn.
Have you seen
George
Minneapolis's new flag?
Insane. No.
Have you seen Minneapolis? Do you know what flag these are? Come on, you know this.
I can't see that.
Somalian. You can't see them.
Oh, I have my screen reduced.
Oh, Somalian flags.
Yeah.
Somalian flags, right? Here you go.
Yep.
All right, ready. Whoa, wait a minute.
Wow.
There, that's better. All right, ready.
There's your guy.
Fucking weird.
Yep, there's your guy. Oh, here you go for everyone. He's just a Midwesterner. He's just a Midwesterner. That's all he is. Here you go.
But we can get out there, reach out, make the case. And for one thing, don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness. But we can get out there.
Okay, I was waiting for Leroy's face on that. Go ahead, Leroy. Go get him. By the way, folks, we're leaving early. I can't tonight. I'm sitting here and we're hold on a second. We're dying. It's like we got to keep the show going. We got to keep working it. But I'm dying tonight. I'll be honest with you. We're going to cut out here in just a little bit. So Leroy, go ahead.
Neighborliness is the idea that you take responsibility.
Sorry, not Minneapolis, Minnesota. Sorry, not Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm having a problem. That's why I need to get the fuck off the air. I need to get off the air tonight. I'm just not. I'm not feeling it, and I'm not. There's a lot of stuff going on in the homestand here, and we're trying to keep this going here, folks. And it's just not tonight. I'm not feeling it. Go ahead, Leroy.
Sorry. Neighborliness is this idea that I will take responsibility and help my neighbor where applicable. So if the guy needs to borrow my lawnmower or, loan him $50, whatever that case may be, that's a personal transaction, right? But the idea of socialism, which is what this guy seems to be advocating for, is the idea that I'm going to give away some of my liberty because I think the government is going to help my neighbor by taking from everybody else.
Enforcing it. That's not help, right?
It's forced distribution.
Right. That's completely different. Right. So, for instance, me saying, you know what? Show's on for 5 minutes. We need to raise this or I'm leaving. That's different than saying, hey, I just need to get out tonight. I'm not feeling it tonight. I got to get out. I got to bounce. One is a question of permission and or notification, and the other one is forcing people. There's a difference. It's not charity. It's not contributions if you force it to take place. Here's another one. Remember, nobody else is affected. Why are we so shallow? This doesn't affect anybody. Why are we picking on trans people?
Much. The opposite would happen.
Also standing in that sea of people, a parent, transparent about his family.
My partner Gretchen and I are here today because we are parents of a trans child.
Their child is 6 years old, and she was as excited to be at a boring capital on spring break as any 6-year-old kid could be. Squirming and fidgeting her way, which is hardly aware her existence.
Thank you.
Thanks, Canada.
By her parents, drove 5
probably
hours
Maddie.
today.
I don't know who it is.
Speak.
It might be JD. I don't know who it. I can't even think.
Public.
Thank you. God bless you.
It's 100% personal. I mean, the safety, the happiness of our child is it couldn't be more personal.
Asher, why are we here today? trans rights?
For her.
Thanks, person out there that starts with an M and ends with L. We appreciate you.
It's to
Yes.
her.
She knows who we're talking about.
As you can see from this interview, I can't force my kids to do anything here. Asher has trusted us enough. She believes in our love enough that she has invited us in to see her whole self. And if we...
That Asian man looks completely fucking broken. He's like, looks like he's one step from committing seppuku. Like,
she looks like if she didn't have those people immediately in her orbit, that she would have about 40 cats in her house.
yeah, and she also looks like the woman who ostracized us from our godparents. She looks like, just with longer hair. If my wife was here, she would shit.
don't love her that much, the opposite would happen, where we wouldn't get to know everything about her. And so we're lucky, we're blessed, and we love her.
So much they came to the People's House this morning to talk about her, the person, in a room reserved for talks about politics.
And there's nothing in this world that I wouldn't do, like Gretchen and I wouldn't do, to protect her and others like her.
Protect her from whom?
Like forced sterilization. Good dad. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean,
what do we
seriously,
think?
Here's another one.
This is life-affirming and life-saving healthcare. When our children tell us who they are, it is our job as grown-ups to listen and to believe them.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No. You want to know why? Because kids are full of shit and they're liars. And if you go ahead and confirm their lunacy and idiocy, you are setting them up for complete failure. Yeah. Not everybody cares. My daughter came to me at 10 years old and said that she thought she was lesbian. You know what I didn't do? Yes, honey. I completely agree. You like vagina. Yes, honey. You're a lesbian. Yes. You need to drive a truck and cut your hair. Yes, you do. Yeah, you need a tattoo that says Spike on your arms.
Yeah.
You get some Timberlands and get yourself a flannel and rip the sleeves off. Yeah. Right to bear guns. Yes. You need to get a tattoo. No. You know what I told her? You're not a lesbian. You're not straight. You're not bi. You're not gay. You're not hetero, cisgender, quasi-unicorn cupcake. You're a 10-year-old little girl, and now is not the time to have this conversation. We'll have this conversation when you manipulate puberty and when you get to a position where you don't find girls and boys to be icky. So we'll revisit this when you're 16. Does that sound good? All I want you to do right now is having fun. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you, Ashley.
I want you having fun. That's all I want you to do. And I want you to go to school and learn. That's it. Just be a kid. And guess what? She came to me and goes, "Oh, Dad, I was 15 ways to effed up." So let's put this in perspective. Go ahead, buddy.
So it looks like, I mean, first of all, that person looks like is somebody who made a transition their own self. And the only thing I can think of is that I guarantee that when that person was 8, 9, 10 years old, right, at some point they were watching Mary Poppins thinking that they could grab an umbrella and float off the roof. And thank God their parents had the foresight to say, no, you can't do that. And then something happened. Something happened where just the reins got cut loose and somebody stopped parenting. Somebody stopped caring enough at that person to kind of take them in under their wing, to do what you did for your daughter.
Right.
I don't know when we stopped wanting to parent and like gave that responsibility over to the kids, but that's not
or the
dissimilar.
Schools.
Right. But it's not dissimilar from the guards and the prisoners going, "Oh, you're the prisoners? You're in charge. Fuck it. Let's see what happens." But not good ideas.
Right.
Right. At some point, you're going to have to take responsibility for that child that you made. You're going to have to teach them, guide them. Oh, so annoying.
This is the lieutenant fucking governor of Minnesota.
Minnesota.
And look at the shirt. It's
Yeah,
a fucking it's a K bar, and it says protect. Talking about trans kids. I mean, this person. Come on, man. All right, finishing the rest.
That's what it means to be a good parent.
No.
Because
No. It doesn't. Honey, you've got a dick. No, that's not. That conversation happens with the birds and the bees. And you know what it wasn't? It wasn't about the birds and the birds and the bees and the bees. It was the birds and the bees. Okay? I didn't have a conversation and go, hey, honey, Tim and John go ahead and put their thingamabobbers in each other's thingamabobbers for no other reason than sexual gratification and perversion. No, we explained that men have penises, women have vaginas, and that thing goes in that thing, fits like a key, and babies are born. That's it. That's when you have that conversation. And it's extremely an uncomfortable conversation. What we didn't do is say, you get to decide your sexual freedom at 6, at 3. Asked our babies permission to change their diaper. Because if we don't change their diaper, we go to jail and CPS fucking throws us in prison. So what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to ask them, do I have your permission to change your little diaper? No, just change the fucking diaper because that's what a father and a mother do. Okay? They don't get an opinion. When they're 18, they get to vote. Not before. No opinion. My house, my rules. You don't like it? Fuck off. Go get a job. I can sell you to China. Where did the discipline go with families? Now, Leroy, I know you like me when I'm all like Jordan Peterson and hello, Puffy. But I can't be that way on the live show. I got to get this shit out of my system. Otherwise, I'll blow up. Go ahead.
No. I completely agree with you. I was just thinking to myself, I don't know when this happened, but it's like since Gen X, has become this old cranky fuck that now yells at the people on their lawns, right? Get off my lawn.
Right.
There was a point where
good
parenting, there was a point at which good parenting meant that you understood that there was going to be some difficult decisions and actions that needed to have happen. And at some point, we have swung from that over to this idea of bad parenting. And when I say that, what I mean is this affirmation of whatever it is you want, honey, whatever it is that you think. These are the parents that when you watch them in the park, when they hit their friend in the leg with a stick, they're just like, now, Johnny, don't do that. No. You gotta get involved,
Get that stick and say, we're going to go home and we're going to play go hide and go stick yourself and see how you like it.
Something happened with these people, and I just don't know what it was, man.
Well, the pussification of America. The pussification of America. Everyone had permission to hate their mother and father. You want to know what it is? I'll tell you right now. Modern day psychiatry. That's what fucking created the pussification of America. Psychologists and treating psychology like a science. The ologies, okay? Not biology, okay? But the applied science versus mythical bullshit sociology.
I can see that.
Is the difference. And an applied science is much different than a pseudoscience like psychology, like sociology, like gender studies. That shit is all like make believe. It's all let's make it up. And let's tell you why everything is about your parents. Freud, like if some people want to go back and take out Hitler, I want to take out Freud. Freud has done more to fuck up the mentality of people because everything is your mom and dad's fault. Listen, I don't like my mom and I didn't like my dad, but it's not their fault. I am who I am because of the choices that I've made. And the experiences and how irregardless, I have made those choices with or without their influence. It's mine. It's my responsibility. The shortcomings, the inequities, and the successes that I've had are my own, not my mom and dad's. They don't get credit for what I've done right, and they don't get credit for what I've done wrong. What I will do is I will show and demonstrate how they supported me to be successful and how they were detrimental for me not to be successful, and how I either used or I replaced it with something beneficial to get where I need to be. That is the only thing I'll ever say, but I'll never blame my mom and dad for what I went through. Right. But this whole fucking mentality that everything that's wrong in your life is because your mom and dad is a liberal bullshit pseudoscience. It's a crock of shit. Because I know people who were sexually molested by their parents, who were abused by their parents, who they put cigarettes out on their body, were some of the most brave, intellectually superior, athletic, and intelligent people I've ever met in the military, who were absolutely just destroyed by their parents, and they turned out to be great. And then I know the ones that had the silver spoon, and they had everything they wanted, and was a Kennedy. And yes, Jamie, fuck, I'm talking about you fucko, who was an intelligence specialist, who was a part of a third generation Kennedy, and was an absolute cunt. Okay? So you don't get to sit here and tell me that everything is wrong in your life because of your parents. And it's not bad in your life because of Joe Biden. And it's not bad because of Donald Trump. It's the fact that you saw the high times and you did not change. You did not manipulate your code to be malleable to whatever situation was difficult in your life. That's your fault. Nobody else's. Okay? Nobody else's. I'm sick of this bullshit science that everything's mommy and daddy's fault. I'm tired of it. Sorry.
I need to address something real quick. Ashley has a comment in there. I'm a millennial, 1986, but the same. My mom would knock my teeth out even to this day. Ashley, what I'm saying, and I'm not saying that you're debating it. All I'm saying is that's anecdotal. That if you go back a certain period in time, 50, 60 years, this was a trend that you would have never seen. It might have been a blip on a radar, but as the country has gone more left, now we're seeing more and more instances of it. So the chances of this soft kind of parenting, this affirmation of gender, is far more likely today than it would have been in the 1950s, right? That's all I'm saying.
I think it's a fair point. And I think everyone understands what we're saying. We're not saying beat your children into oblivion.
Right.
That's not what we're saying. But there comes a time where if your son talks to your wife a certain way, that I would get my dick knocked in the dirt.
Yeah.
And thank you, Ashley. And there's plenty of people that say, oh, no, you can't do that now. You can't discipline your children. Well, listen, CPS says taking away your child's phone is child abuse. Are you fucking kidding me? Thank you, Christine. Thanks, everybody. Now, it's nice. Listen, you want to be rewarded for your work, right? You come on here, you work all day, and it's just nice when people contribute. And the thing is that it's not always the same people. Sometimes it's hard. And I get that. I understand. I'm in the same boat y'all are in. But it's always nice to have something. It doesn't matter whether it's a buck, that people like your stuff. And if it's not that, it's saying nice things in chat, right? It's just saying, hey, man, we really appreciate the show. And you guys kill it. And we like to hear that. It keeps us motivated. And there's just days where sometimes it's not going that way. And it sucks to be here. I just realized, man, I have done 2,700 shows.
Wow.
That's live. That's recorded. That's additional reels, 1-minute videos. That's a lot in 4 years, man. That's a shit ton of product. So sometimes, you just need to hear, you get up in your feels that, we appreciate you. That's all.
When you expose yourself, and I don't mean this literally, I mean it obviously in the sense
hold on, let me
show.
zip up. Sorry.
But when you expose yourself like that, when you invite everyone into your life to kind of sponge off of your brain, do you feel like, I don't know, do you ever get tired of that? Do you ever feel like you just need to shield yourself for hours or days or just to recenter yourself? Do you ever get like that?
No, because that's a really good. You see, this is nice. I don't get. That's what bothers me is I don't get questions enough, and I really like questions because it keeps me grounded and it keeps me calm and it shows that there's an interest. So when I get questions, I take them very seriously, even if it's from douche plows like D Sword. I care about that. I haven't taken a vacation in 4 years.
Wow.
Has anyone seen me take a vacation? Even when I was on vacation, we went to West Virginia and went up to the cabins. I was still on every night. I don't take, even when CPS came to the house and that whole trial thing went, that night I was on camera.
Oh yeah, I remember.
So I don't, this has never worked for me, but there are times when I get discouraged. There's times where I'm like, it's not about money, but it's got to be about something. It's got to be about $3,500 a month. That's it. And the reason why is because that's what the show is extremely expensive. Okay, let's go ahead and walk us through. Spreely, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram occasionally. Spreely's no longer. Wimkin. Okay. Now you're streaming to 8 different channels, right? How much bandwidth does that take? Well, I'll tell you, 39 megabytes a second. Right. So now times that by 60. Someone want to do that real quick? Times that by 60. Well, 390. So it's 1.8 gigs an hour. Or excuse me, 1.8 gigs a minute.
That's a lot.
And now I do it for 2 hours. So I push through like 7 or 8 terabytes a month just on the live show. That's not recorded. That's not uploading pictures. That's not okay. Have you ever uploaded more than or have you ever downloaded more than a terabyte or uploaded more than a terabyte of information ever in your history at your house?
Not at my house.
Right. I mean, you get my point. Because why? Because you would have to pay. Because Comcast would say you went over your limit and you got to pay, right?
Yeah.
If you go over 100 gigs, they charge you $20. Now imagine going over 6 terabytes. Okay. So do you understand how much my internet bill is a month? Okay. Yeah. So now go into production, go into designing shirts, go into memes, go into articles, go into writing the show, setting up the cells for this, getting you guys on here, your time, my time, the moderator's time. This job starts for me at 6 in the morning and usually ends at 11 o'clock at night every day, except for Saturdays and Sundays, where I still start at 6 in the morning. And then when Olivia starts rolling out of bed around 8:30, I stop and I pay attention to them. But I'm always on. I've had people this weekend who are like, hey, I'm wondering about the Documents of Freedom box. When's it going to be here? And I'm talking to them. They're like, why are you talking to me on the weekend? I'm like, because you're my customer. Right. You're my customer. You know, and you're my friend and I care about you. So some people get upset and they're just like, well, Matt teed off on me today. You know what? Your best friends teed off on you before. Your mom's teed off on you. Your brother and sisters. We're family here. And even a guy like D Sword, who I finally just had to ban, not because I don't find value in him, it's because he doesn't find value in the show. And all you got to do is demonstrate value in the show. And if I do something stupid or I say something stupid, I'm usually going to apologize to that person if I'm wrong. And if I'm not wrong, you don't get that. But I don't feel obligated. I feel energized every time I come on. I'm always high energy on this show. I'm always intense on this show. There are times, though, that the world creeps in, Leroy, and the bills creep in, and the mortgage creeps in, and the back to school clothes creep in, and I go, I'm no longer making $250,000 from a corporation with guaranteed 401k, vehicle, per diem, credit card, free internet, free phone, free mileage, and I'm doing this all on my own. And when that reality hits, it's scary. It's 50 years old. You know, if I lose my speech and have a stroke like my grandfather did, what does my family do? Right?
You know, we've talked about that in terms of, you know, I'm getting older now. What happens if something happens to my eyes or, something along those lines. I mean, that's everything. That is my livelihood to some degree. So yeah, I mean, I get that. I get that.
Yeah, you start thinking about your limitation. And the same thing would happen if my back wasn't repairable. What would I do in retail? So I would adapt. I would overcome. I would still write. I would probably still be on the show in a capacity, but not from, I would use assisted speech. I would use text. I would still find a way to be on the show. But to answer your question, that's when it gets a little, because here, so last thing, and then we'll wrap this. You asked me about the frustration. I'm not frustrated with my fans. I'm not frustrated with friends. I'm not frustrated with people who are casual observers of the show. I get frustrated that there's people out there making $10 million a year who are lying to you. And you know they're lying to you. And they've lied to you repeatedly, and you still give them your loyalty. That frustrates the fucking shit out of me. And whether it's the Young Turks or whether it's, Crowder or Charlie Kirk, and Crowder is better than Charlie Kirk, honestly. Crowder is pretty straight fucking forward. Charlie Kirk is a shill. And the only thing he cares about is his grift. He cares about his books. He cares. I mean, the fact when he came on Wimpkin, I'm not bashing on Charlie Kirk, but it was all for the money. And to me, that's not what it should be about. It should be about educating people who want to learn and reciprocate and teach you something at the same time. And I think Bill Burr said it best to Bill Maher the other night. And he said, "Hey, Bill, have you ever admitted you're wrong?" And to me, Leroy, I think that is bigger than any donation or payment, is when somebody on this show goes, "You know what? I hated Matt, or I hated this stuff about the election, but then I listened and I watched and I learned something. And oh my God, I've opened up my eyes." And to me, that's better than any donation ever. Make sense?
Yeah. Oftentimes when I'm surfing through Facebook or whatever, because I'm 100 years old, and that's what I look at, right? I will see this meme and it's always the same question. It's always from those psychology channels or any of those. And it's the same meme over and over again. What is a sign of low intelligence? You've seen this?
No.
And I've seen it all the time. And every time I see it, that's the first thing that I think of is exactly what you just said. It's the inability to change your position on something. It's the inability to say I'm wrong or I'm sorry, right? Because if you can't do that, then what you're doing is putting yourself in the lane that basically always assumes that you are correct. And you're not. You're not. You're simply not. And one of the foundational things that happens in the IC or in academia, or
tell them what the IC is so they understand. They think it's some sort of winter retreat. Thank you.
Right.
Winter retreat.
Whenever you're writing papers, whenever you're putting out a thesis, one of the last things that you do, even in scientific papers, one of the last things that you do before it goes to publish is you then hand your work off to someone else so that they can read it and then bounce their ideas off of it. They will pick apart your thesis and say, "No, you know what? I think you're wrong here." Or, "Have you checked this? Are you sure about the numbers?" They will check this because it's a way of keeping you honest. And it's the same thing that we're talking about here. It's the ability or inability to admit it when you're wrong. I think that's key to solid scientific or academic type talks like we have sometimes.
The difference is like the hard part about this job is treating your friends not like hosts or employees. I treat you like a friend. We talk that way. Sometimes when you interrupt me, I'll be like, "Wow, well, God damn it, let me finish." And then 5 seconds later, I fucking interrupt you. I recognize that, right? But you're my friend, and I would walk through fire and over glass to help you. There's a shorthand when it comes to military. There's a shorthand that comes with brothers in arms, and I recognize my inequity. And there are times where I cut you off and I shouldn't. There's times where I'm short with you and I shouldn't. And usually it's followed up with an apology. But you are an immensely smart and intelligent human being who we very rarely disagree on military stuff, but we do disagree on some other fundamental core issues. But it's never to oppose each other. It's simply to, I believe, to make each other better and say, you know what? No, I don't agree with you there. And we have done that on the show. But what's hilarious is even after that, when we're at that odds, at the end, you'll be like, you know what? But I really appreciate you saying that. And I appreciate your perspective. To me, intelligence isn't how little you cuss or how much you cuss, how many 10-cent words you have, or, how you formulate a sentence. I believe everyone has a specific set of expertise that they have through experiential learning. And I don't care. The Sling Blade can teach us something. And I hate when people discredit others and don't listen, because everyone has something to teach, even how not to be. Even like D-Sword comes in here and he's like, Jesse Ventura. I listen to him. And then I'm like, okay, now you're fucking trolling me. But I'll give him a chance and say, well, what did Jesse Ventura do to make you money in Minnesota? Please educate me what he did.
Right.
And he knows that the governor doesn't impact economic policy in the states. That's not how you do it. You either regulate the state to death, or you deregulate the state and let the free market capitalist society that we are work.
Right.
So all he had to say is nothing. I just really liked him as a person. Okay, well then you know what? Good. JD, or you want Jesse Ventura as the vice president. It's not going to fucking happen ever, and it's not a serious statement, but great. You can think that. Just don't tell me you know that, or it's the way it should be, or it's fact, or it's real. That's when I tend to get frustrated with this show.
Yeah, but what you did was open up that line of questioning to try and turn it into a conversation. And when someone can't have that conversation, when they just start throwing out platitudes or excuses, or avoiding the topic altogether, that's when you know someone may not be, when there's a level of disingenuous, right? I think that if we can have a conversation, right, there's going to be a little bit of back and forth. There's going to be some challenging questions. There's going to be some moments where somebody might go, "Oh, you know what? I didn't think of that." And that's what you want,
right?
That's what you
you have to have.
Yeah,
you have to have that, because if you don't, this isn't a show. That, you know what? It is. It's a show. This isn't. Do you guys understand? I mean, I know people are probably like, holy shit, Matt and Leroy and Amy and Olivia have to prepare ad nauseum, and they just must live. We don't. I decide what's going to be on the show usually 10 minutes before. Because first of all, I think it's disingenuous to sit here and prepare and not discover it with you. Like, I think there's something very important that the viewer, I've read every single one of your comments. People are like, Matt, we love you. We appreciate you. We love Olivia. We love Leroy. We love Amy. We love what you bring. I'm reading all these comments. You're building the show. And a lot of your ideas that you say, I talk about to make the show more effective. I wish people understood that, where you could come here and have a conversation. And more people are doing that and calling in. And we've had more callers in the last month and a half than we've ever had, because people are like, you know what? I feel comfortable enough to come on here now. And by osmosis, I feel strong and I'm not embarrassed. And I'm ready to come on and have a conversation. Because, folks, let me be honest with you. Making an ass out of yourself, there's a lot of other things that are a hell of a lot worse than this. This is easy. This is easy. It's not hard at all. Go ahead, Leroy.
Let me ask you a question then. Do you feel like the spontaneity makes for a more interesting show? Do you feel that the spontaneity lends to a better show, or the preparation? Which do you?
It depends what you want, right? It depends what you're looking for. What do you want to get out of this show? And if this show is, you want a formulaic, prosecutorial. Thank you, Thomas. My man. Thank you, buddy. If you want a prosecutorial type show where the facts are going to be laid out from step 1 to step 2, and then you're going to have a defensive style show like a courtroom, a litigation. This isn't the show for you. Although we could make that show. Now, that show's very easy. All we need to do is change the set. Go ahead and make, walls with light pink and purple backdrop on white walls. Get in a suit, back up my camera 10 feet, and do that show. And there's a million shows like it. There's no show like this.
You're saying that'd be less intimate. Yeah.
I don't even think it's intimate. I just think it's authenticity. Like, there are times when the show is banging and it's so good, and we're just like, bam, bam, bam. It resembles the other night when all 4 of us were on. I thought it was an excellent show, and it hit. Tonight hit. I think tonight was a great show. You and I, this is the most we've shared together and really shared airtime, where I have felt really good about just you and me, because we haven't done it in a while. Tonight, I think it was fine. There's other nights where I think it sucks, and I think the show sucks. But even within the worst shows that we do, there's something there that somebody can take away from, even if it's to rate our show against somewhere else, to realize what we can do to be better. And someone can tell us, hey, here's where you guys should do. You should add a shirt to the show. Or Matt, you should, talk more, talk less. Be more aggressive, cuss more. And then when people make it theirs, that's when I get excited. Like when people go, this isn't Matt's show, this is our show. This is what we come to in order to learn something together. To me, that's when we crush it.
Agreed.
Make sense?
Agreed. Yeah, and to be clear, there is some level of preparation that I do bring with me to the show. Like, I didn't want to walk into a show blind and not know all I could about Tim Walz. I didn't want to do that. I like to have some notes scribbled on ahead of time. But to your point, I don't make it like a 6-hour process. It's 10, different. 15, 20 minutes just to gather my thoughts and to lay out my case kind of on the fly. So,
yeah, that's different. I mean, listen, to say every day I wake up is preparation. I'm reading the news. I'm talking to sources of people. I'm writing. I'm pontificating. I'm processing. Sometimes it's petulant. Sometimes it's affable. Sometimes I feel like Jordan Peterson, and other times I feel like fucking, Jesse Ventura. Yeah, exactly. Good call. So it's I'm always processing, and I'm always building the show of the day. But the thing is people are like, oh my God, Matt, do you watch Ben Shapiro? No. The last thing a plumber wants to do on his day off is go and unclog toilets.
Study another plumber.
I have no desire.
Go to a plumber's convention is basically what that's like.
People send me shit. I watch it for 30 seconds.
Same.
I watch it for 30 seconds and I go, if I'm not completely pulled in, I just turn it off. I just get their first lie and I unplug it. Because I don't watch for entertainment. I watch to learn something. And there's a very big difference between being entertained and learning. And I learned a long time ago, you have to discipline your mind and almost put yourself in a state of boredom to be really open and receptive to information you disagree with. Because if you're amped up and you're excited and you're like, okay, I'm just going to fucking watch this, I'm going to try to disprove everything, you're not going to get anything out of it. But if you go in there going, listen, this is a video, I've seen a million like it, let me watch it, okay, 30 seconds, this is dog shit, and boom. Or, holy crap, now I'm going to watch for a minute. Okay, we're going into 3. Okay, now I'm going to turn it off and I'm going to go watch it on the show because this is intriguing to me. That's the way that I collect. But you asked me one thing is like, do I get kind of bored paraphrasing with the show sometimes, or get detached or feel like it's a chore? Only when it's me learning something, because the unfortunate truth to this whole thing is my mind truly is a sponge. And I don't forget much. And I know I'm going to pay for that. I know I'm going to lose my capabilities at some point, and it's going to be the death of me. Like, it's going to kill my soul. But there was the reason why my mind is because for 20 years, it was an underdeveloped mind that suffered from ADHD and suffered with so much trauma that I didn't utilize it. And now my brain is has for the last 30 years just been running on overtime, and the capabilities that I possess to remember things and remember notes and remember what people say, it's really strange, Leroy, because I never had that before. And it's almost like that, you know, it's kind of like when you have a brand new fucking 76 whatever vehicle and you put no mileage on it, and you constantly, you know, you turn it over every couple months and you change the oil and you change the gas, and then you run that thing in 2000 and it fucking purrs and it's 40 years old, 30 years old. I feel that that's where I was, I was underutilized for most of my life until I joined the military, and then I unlocked something.
Same.
So that's where
Same.
yeah, and you're super fucking dude. You're retentive to a point, very similar to you. You and I have very similar lives. We've been through very similar things, very similar experience. Not just the same dirt and the same water we've chewed and swallowed, but our family lives, and it's very eerie how you and I became friends.
Amy Bordeaux had a quick comment that I just wanted to says Leroy takes notes during the show for himself and for others. He doesn't want to forget to address. That is absolutely correct. It's something I picked up while reading this. There was a Harvard champion debater, a guy named Bo So. What is he? South Korean, and it was a debate tactic. It was one of these things where when someone makes a point, you want to make sure that you list it so that you can address it back to them later, or, you know, make the counterpoint. That's all I wanted to say.
I write everything down. I write down everything as well. I just don't do it on a piece of paper.
You do it up here?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I've done that since I was waiting tables. Well, I just started waiting tables while I was in the military, and somehow it stuck. Like, I could remember a 16 top all the way down to some was no pickles, and I wouldn't write a fucking thing down. I would do drinks, appetizers, entrees, and I would put it all into the computer, and I would do word association and visualization. Same thing in college. I mean, dude, the political science intro to political science, and then advanced political science. I AP'd out of both of those fucking classes, and those classes are 2-year courses. I read the book and I came and studied the next day, and then I AP'd out of the courses. I don't know. It's always been a gift at that age.
I can't do that on the fly, but I will say there are certain things that I'm very, very passionate about. One of them is poetry, and that was probably from the Robin Williams movie, Dead Poet Society. I always liked that kind of thing.
Great movie.
But because of that, my wife's father, who passed away just a couple of years ago, he did this thing, and he did it with everyone. And I know where he got it from. It was called the announcer's test. And even right up to the day after having had a stroke, he did this thing in the hospital where he would just try and test all of the nurses. And I always thought it was just incredibly, it was fun more than anything. Do you mind if can I indulge myself here?
Sure. As long as you put the light on that's on right now, every single fucking time we have the show, because now it's perfect. And it is shit earlier, Leroy. Shit. Dog shit.
It's because I got closer to the camera. That's what it is.
Then get closer to the camera, because that is the way you should look every time. Otherwise, you look like a pile of shit.
Thanks for that.
Sure. That's what I'm here for. Yes.
So what he did was he would look at a nurse or a doctor and say, you know, when they were questioning, oh my God, you've had the stroke. Are you okay? And he would do this thing. He would go, all right, I want you to repeat after me, Matt. Right? You say, 1 hen.
1 hen.
1 hen, 2 ducks.
1 hen, 2 ducks.
1 hen, 2 ducks, 3 squawking geese.
1 hen, 2 ducks, 3 squawking geese.
1 hen, 2 ducks, 3 squawking geese, 4 Limerick oysters.
I don't understand the last word. I can't do it. What was the last word?
Limerick.
No, McOysters. What did you say?
Oysters. Or Limerick oysters.
Okay.
Oysters.
I can't. I know, but what's this Limerick thing you're saying? I don't understand.
It's a word.
I know what the word. I know what the word fucking limerick means, Leroy. I don't understand what limerick oysters are, so I can't do this if I don't understand what the fuck you're talking about. Because you're talking about galloping geeses and hens, and then you're talking about limerick oysters, which is like me saying fucking Butterfinger fucking battery.
Dude, I get it, and the whole thing is bizarre. I'm going to go through it real quick.
Okay, all right, let's do it. No, let's do it again. 1 hen.
It takes about One
No.
hen.
Yeah, it's one hen. Go.
2 ducks.
2 ducks.
1 hen, 2 ducks, 3 squawking geese.
How about you do this? How about you don't repeat it? How about you just say 1 hen, 2 ducks, and then say 3, and then go to 4?
Okay.
1 hen, 2 ducks, 3 galloping geese.
3 squawking
3
geese. 4 limerick oysters, 5 corpulent porpoises, 6 pairs of Don Elverzo's tweezers,
Okay,
7,000 Macedonians in full battle array, 8 brass monkeys from the ancient sacred crypts of Egypt, 9 apathetic, sympathetic, diabetic old men on roller skates with a marked propensity towards procrastination and sloth. And then the last one is 10 lyrical, spherical, diabolical denizens of the deep who haul stall around the corner of the key of the K of the Quivery all at the same time. And so he would repeat this back, and these people could not keep up. They were just like, you know, and for a guy who had a stroke, that was pretty impressive.
I understand. So say the following. You ready? Transcending the depths of universal contemplation beset by paradox.
Transcending the, you said it so fast. I'm sorry.
Transcending the depths of universal contemplation beset by paradox.
Transcending the depths of universal contemplation by something paradox.
Yeah,
close.
No. So once again, familiar with me. Now let's do a food order at Applebee's, right? So
I can't do those.
Right. See, the one thing about word association is that you have, and if to do it correctly, you have to have visual cortex memory in order to do it, or phonetic memory to do so. So you've memorized something that you've specifically memorized and will never forget, just like K.P. Kafka's, right? Class, phylum, order, species, genus, et cetera, or the colors of the rainbow. But that's how I break down the amendments, or I break down the 50 gun carrying laws in the United States and can recite to you every single gun carry law and reciprocity law in the United States of America. That's how I can go ahead and geographically name every single country in the United States on an empty map with just the outline, as you know you can, because we had to learn how to do that in week 1 of Intel. And that's why I can tell you the sound of every single major engine of every single aircraft in the arsenal of every country and identify it by sound, along with firearms, along by track vehicles, so this is how you and I can go on the Snoopy team, and we can sit back and recognize a foreign vessel that we only saw once 4 years ago in training. So the way my mind works is that if it's not important to me, right, the silhouette learning, I mean, because we used to flashcard that shit. Yeah. And sometimes an HMS and a fucking Russian destroyer, there are times can look, because of 10 to 15 years of separation and countries always mimicking each other, that it's kind of hard to tell what's what. But we would have to recognize where the mast was, or where the forecastle was, or what type of radar it had, or what type of air defense system it had, or whatever, and armaments. And then if you couldn't do that, you would say, okay, well, I'm going to look where the hole is on the fucking water line, and I'm going to go ahead and figure out that based upon the ballast of that shit. Yeah. You and I had to train our minds to understand and learn, because at a moment's notice, somebody could ask us the question of what is the maritime missile for, that? Right? What is that? And we have to know. So what I learned is how to selectively process information while making it anorexic at the same time. So the way I remember things is when I read a book, a lot of people, there'll be 700 words on a page or whatever it would be. I only read 110 of them. I cut out the, in, was, they, were, how, any prepositions, any filler words. And when I read a sentence in a book, I read 3 words out of the 10 in a sentence or 7 in a sentence. I do not read the filler. And I get the context. Then I go back and I read the page, and I do it like that. And I've always been able to do that. And it helps me trim down and only remember the things that I truly need to.
The important
because
stuff,
you know this when you're reading message traffic, or you get flash traffic, or you get a brief that you fucking 700 page some odd dossier on fucking aquatic movements of the Hong SS fucking whatever. And you got, just give me the brass tacks, man, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I did in college too. And I've always, but word association and picture association is something I've always been able to do. And I can memorize entire theses of information and a quarterly lesson plan just by word association and acronyms, just like you did. And there was a pentameter there. There was a rhythm to your 1 through 10. And it's not that the context of the words changed. It's that each step you got, you were counting in numbers to expand the overall structure of what your mind was willing to retain. And that's where it's teaching you how to path memory. I don't know how to explain it. I just know that I do what you just did with things that I know.
You're absolutely spot on. And here's the thing. It's something that I believe in my bones. I know it, that everyone can do. And the reason I know that is because everyone knows the words to a song. And whether or not it's set to a melody that you automatically just know what the pattern is, or if it's poetry or something along those lines, that capability is there. And you use whatever the tools are or whatever the criteria is in your mind to make it more absorbable. And so,
Correct. Have you ever been listening to a score, and whether you're listening to Chopin or Tchaikovsky or Fiddler or whatever it is, and then you've never heard this song before, but it gets to the point of crescendo, or it gets to the main ecliptic center of the song, and you're like, what is going to come next over the next 20 or 30 notes. Okay, but you've never heard it before. Everyone has that ability.
Yep.
Everyone. And what it's doing is it's called associated learning. And with experiential learning, whether it's auditory or visual type learning, there is a third sense that's outside of audio and visual, and that is the complete picture. And the best way that I can describe it is assimilated learning. It's not visual, it's not auditory, it's both combined. And let me give you an example.
It's like predictive almost, yeah.
Yeah, almost, but it's assimilated. It's like it's naturally it's not prosthetic. It's not something that is forced. It's assimilated. It's built into the way you think, and most ISs have it, and the IC have it, and it's the ability to recognize something differently than most people. Most people start something at the beginning and get to the end and make a judgment. What we do is have no judgment. We start at the beginning, and the moment that something is inaccurate or false, our judgment is made that it's not the context of what's being said, it's the person who's saying it that isn't credible. And that's the way I think. Now, when I'm talking about assimilated learning, here's the example. You and I have watched a movie once in our childhood, but you and I can recite the whole fucking thing. We've done it on this show. We've done it on this show. Like, I'll say something obscure. Like today, this guy was playing sounds in movies from 1970 and 1980. I think I went like 76 and 80. I was like, oh fuck, that's the actual Lancer in Aliens, the actual gun that they're using.
You mean the music?
No, sound effects.
Or like just sound effects.
Yeah, like the T-800 when he's in the compressor.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That sound was in there. I got it. Titanic. When you heard the horn, I'm like, oh, that's from the movie Titanic. And I was able to. That is auditory learning. Then there's visual, where you'll see a picture, and I'm like on Apple TV. If you look every 10 seconds, it changes, and like it's in Bermuda, and then it's in like fucking Cabo, and then it's in Hawaii. I'll be able to tell you where that's at in the world based upon sediment, based upon the color of the water, whether it's in the Pacific or the Atlantic, and I can break that down. And you do that with satellite imagery. That's visual learning, but there's something that takes place, and the only way I can describe it is this: when you watch a movie, what's more important, sound or visual to you? What's more important?
Oh, that's rough. I would have to say visual, because mostly we are visual, humans are by nature. But the audio is so damned important. I would have to go visual.
There's only one answer. There's only one answer.
No,
which one's more? Which one? But see, the answer truly is they're equally important. And one is, it discredits the other without. So they are synonymous. They are a symbiotic relationship that you must have both in order to encapsulate the true meaning of what you're seeing and hearing. That's assimilation. So the next time you try to watch a movie, just turn the sound off.
Right.
You're going to get context. That's like when you watch your phone with the audio off, or close your eyes. You're going to get context, but when you open your eyes, you're going to say, oh my God, I didn't picture that person looking like that. It doesn't match the voice. Or when you finally hear their voice, you're like, oh my God, that person sounds like Pee Wee Herman. If you can do that while you're watching and recognize and separate the learning information you're getting from the audio and learning information you're getting from the visual, and assimilate at the same time without turning one off, but able to process them separately, you'll understand and conceptualize how I learn. That's how I process everything. I break them apart and I assimilate them at different variables to get to ultimately the same conclusion that everyone else does. And you do the same thing, and I know you do it because I know if somebody's carrying inside of a bank, you know.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Dude, quickly, I was in Target Christmas like 2 years ago. It was no 3, whatever, right before COVID. One of the last times I went out into a major department store. And I walked in through the double doors in Target. You know how it works. There's one entry to the pharmacy and there's one entry to the clothes area, right? Mm-hmm. So like there's pharmacy and food, and then there's the clothes. And I'm walking in on clothes side. So immediately you have the return desk and you've got, women's clothing, right? And as I walk in, I scan the registers, I scan down the hallway, and I'm making the sweep. And I'm halfway into the women's section. Olivia's going looking for a purse or something, and I stop and I'm go, something isn't right.
Instinct.
And I turn around and I walk back and I start rescanning. And of course, I scan the most immediate threat, the first things I see first. And I go through and I stop, and there is a guy, probably 150 feet down. And the way he is walking and his overall body position set off an alarm bell with me.
Yep.
So I tell Olivia, I say, Olivia, just step to the side. And I watch him. And I'm watching him. And then at some point I reach back to small my back and I put my hand on my sidearm. And he gets closer. Now I can really scan him. And I see a 45 open carry on his fucking hip.
Oh.
And I saw that, but didn't realize that I saw that. And I processed that information like that. And it took me like 5-6 seconds to realize something's wrong. I don't know what's wrong, but listening to that assimilated information, I didn't have sound, I didn't have visual, but by putting them both together, I was able to see without sound and not hear, but see something that told me I need to pay attention. And that's the best way I can describe it. Quickly, last thing, straight out of the military, was working at Game Crazy, and a guy came in, a homeless guy with a big old parka. And he had a chicken it looked like a shotgun. He had a fucking turkey leg. So I called the cops. I didn't know it was turkey leg. They put him on the ground. They walked up, and the cop hands me his card. And he goes, I'm Sergeant blah, 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 blah. I'm the shift supervisor. And he's like, I want you to be a police officer. How in the hell did you see that? Like, I don't know. It looked like a shotgun to me. He's like, it is exactly the length of a sawed-off shotgun. It's a fucking turkey leg. You need to be a cop.
Jeez.
So you know what I'm saying? There's just things you see. And okay. All right. Go ahead. You were going to say something, and then we'll round it out here.
Just a real quick story. Something very similar to that. We were shopping at Aldi's once, Sandy and I, and you ever, just like what you described, there are people that will go through the store and be completely oblivious because they're busy reading labels or looking at their list and grabbing whatever the hell it is they want to use to fill up their pantries. And then there are people like Matt and I. And a guy came walking in, and it's just one of those things. The moment you see movement, your eyes immediately attune to it, and you just kind of give it a quick assessment. Sometimes 99.9% of the time, you will automatically assume, okay, good to go. Like, I can tell, no worries there. This one dude, to Matt's point, just set off alarm bells with me. And as I was watching him, he grabbed the cart, and he made his way around the entire perimeter of the store, but never put anything in his cart. And his clothes were dirty. I remember his like, and it was very, very subtle. He had like his jeans were all like worn through and shit like that. And I grabbed my wife. I was like, "Hey, like,
yep,
keep an eye
wrong.
out. Like, right, alarm bells are going off here." And he did his walk around the perimeter store, having bought nothing, then put the cart back and left. And here's the thing, like, I don't know what it was. How did I know that guy was coming in? It was just something that I noticed, something that didn't feel right. I could have caught it when he was already halfway around the store, but I didn't. I caught it the moment he walked in. And it was just one of those things where I told my wife, I'm like, head on a swivel. Like, you never know. And so that from that moment on, I kept telling her, I'm like, we got to get the hell out of here. I don't know what's going to happen. And I didn't like it. And fortunately, nothing happened, but it's that same level of instinct.
Situational awareness, man.
Situational awareness.
It just lets you, I mean, OPSEC and situational awareness. My brain is a lot of people, I just scanned over a comment that it's synonymous with people with ADHD. Yeah, I'm diagnosed.
Yeah.
So Leroy and I kind of not really met, but I started talking about autism and how I believe that a lot of people have highly functioning autism at a certain level. And with the chemicals that they put in and the shots we get and everything else and the development of our brain, there's no doubt in my mind. But there's times where I hate my brain. I hate it.
Yeah.
I want to turn it off. And it's not that I'm the smartest guy in the world. I can have a conversation about anything because there's a time to listen. There's a time to talk.
Yep.
And even when I'm talking, I'm listening and I'm observing and I'm watching. And sometimes I talk specifically to get people to do the things that they don't want to do. And there's other times I just listen to get them to do things that I don't want them to do. There's just, you gotta, the recipe for the perfect chocolate chip cookie is never the same for anybody, but there is a recipe to get this way. And it's a life full of trepidation with some very intense learning to get where I'm at, and probably Leroy's at the same. A lot of trauma and a lot of higher learning about human behavior and self-discovery to get where you're at. Anyway, Leroy, 1 minute, buddy. By the way, Amber, happy, looks like early birthday. I think I might have seen Ramon's birthday too. So Ramon, you're going to have one at some point. So happy birthday. And Amber, happy early birthday, I believe, if I've scanned chat properly. I just wanted to tell everybody happy birthday.
Happy
Leroy,
birthday, Amber. Happy birthday, Ramon. What a fun show. It's nice to be able to, I mean, sure, we talked politics. We talked about the new VP pick for the Democrat Party, and what kind of fuckhead he's going to be. But we also got a lot of interactions that we don't normally get. And I really like that. I really like the ability to kind of bounce things off of each other. It's fun. Yeah, good show. I liked it.
You're my good friend, dude. And I don't say it enough, but I covet our relationship. And it's one of those that I believe could separate 5 years in between. It would still be strong. You don't find those very often. And you don't have permission to be vulnerable with people, but I know when you've had your day or I've had my day that's not going so well, that's when the rubber meets the road. It's not these stupid micro conversations that matter. It's the ones that truly have life-changing consequence to them. And there's times where you've talked to me and it's like I've wanted to quit and you've talked me off that edge. That's appreciated. So I love you here. By the way, I don't know if you saw this. I figured I'd show it to you.
Brother, I love you.
Dude, don't be gay.
I said that out loud. All right.
Keong, I hope you like your hat. I'm glad you got it, buddy. That's a cool looking hat. Did you put the code in? It should have discounted. If it didn't, if you would like, I'll go back and discount. It's probably because it was after 9 p.m. Keong, let me know if you didn't get your discount because that's important to me. If and some people are like, hey, I don't give a shit about the discount. But if you do, let me know. By the way, just real quick, show you something. and then we'll let you get out of here. So
yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah, what a handsome devil. So if you come over here and you hit Leroy, I'll get it. I'll blow it up for you.
Gotcha.
Just want to let you know, man, it's official, buddy.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, so you're
I have actual wood here.
Yeah, Leroy
awesome.
Jenkins, yep, co-founder. So everyone's got their little titles, and then of course we've got the Muds first because they do the yeoman's work, and see now this isn't a like let's toot horns and stuff, but to me, when I was laying them out, I know there's people that would put their name first. I don't. Because I never want anyone to read that and go, well, why is Leroy over Amy, and why are the Muds? So I put the Muds first, and I put myself last, so there's nobody who can say, oh, I feel like there's a hierarchy to this, and some people are more important than the other. I don't feel that way. So I always do that, and it's never important to me. Like, I don't give a shit about fame. The only thing I care about is that when my kids need shoes or I need to make a car payment, that I can do those things. And if a buddy calls me and says I need money, I can give it to him. Other than that, the rest will work itself out. So, Leroy, appreciate you, buddy.
Oh man, absolutely. This has been an amazing show, and I thank you. This is fun.
Yeah, so real quick, Tommy says, Matt, we should do a weekend and have a dumb meetup at the Tammy's Diner. Done. Just say whenever you guys want to. We have the Dumb Club, and we meet once a month there, and we all talk. But I would love to meet everybody. So yeah, yes. I'm going to put you all through background checks, but yeah.
Whoa. Wait, I've got
all right, folks, we'll be back
here somewhere.
Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow at 7:00 with another live show, recorded show in the morning. We'll also have your news on thedumnews.com. Do me a favor. Listen, folks, I need a big favor. I need you guys to go over to Wimkin. We are owners in Wimkin. It is a free speech social media platform. 9 million people, can't be wrong. The great thing about Wimkin is Jason, who is the owner and operator CEO. He ensures that all the accounts are scrubbed. Very few bots are on there. It's authentic conversation. And we need to grow the channel even more because eventually Facebook is not going to receive my good graces anymore. They have stopped compensating, and it's not worth it to me. So go over to wimkin.com. Here is a quick commercial. It is funnier than hell. If you haven't watched it, watch it. And then go over to Wimkin and sign up. And there's some language in this, but it's designed to be funny. Wimkin.com. Here you go. Hey, what's going on, Donut Friendly Nation? Matthew Spear from the Donut Friendly Podcast.
Are you tired of being constantly banned off of every social media platform for saying facts only to be proven right 6 months later after you already had to create a new account? Tired of Fuckerberg robot AI-looking bitch constantly putting you in Facebook jail? Or maybe a geriatric old bastard who shits his pants in front of the Pope became the resident-in-chief because his crack addict, traitorous son had complete media silence about traitorous actions and backdoor deals with the big guy. And those bastards ban you for sharing the story. If you said yes to 2 of the 3 above, you don't need to circle back like a failed White House spokesperson who has 2 alcoholic drinks for a name. Up in Wimkin, we think it's fair not to sell your data to China, even though their president is super inclusive and named Xi. We kind of have a problem with the whole harvesting organs, slave labor, and communism. We also don't compromise you or get your kids to do stupid and dangerous trends. So you don't have to find out secondhand your kid Johnny is an idiot. Look no further than Wimkin. Made and housed in the USA, Wimkin offers all the features of Facebook and more, with complete data privacy and safe for your whole family. Download us on your app store today and join the community of users who value privacy and safety. Wimkin.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. And Leroy, thanks for being on, buddy. We'll talk to you all soon. Have a great night.
Yeah, have a good one.
See ya.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The DUM Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.